Two girls, a whole lot of books, and even more to say about them. I'm Tor.
And I'm Bronte.
And this is Girls Unplugged.
We're here for all things bookish, from recommendations and book-to-screen adaptations
to spilling the tea on all the latest community drama and news.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow along.
Hey guys, welcome back to Girls Unplugged. Today, since we are over halfway through the year, we thought we would do a mid-year reading wrap-up episode, particularly as you guys seem to like the end-of-year wrap-up that we did at the end of 2025. But before we get into the episode, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure you subscribe and you follow in all the places or wherever you are listening. And I actually have a favour, which is, can you drop a comment and tell us what your favourite book has been this year, because I need those recs and you will see why shortly. But yeah, let's get into today's episode.
Well, with that in mind, how have you felt about your reading year so far, Bronte?
Not good. Not good at all, guys. Okay, it's not going well for me. It's been my worst reading year since 2018 in terms of quantity, and that's a very long time ago
Since
now.
2018?
Yeah.
Wild.
I know. Because I've always, for those that don't know, I've always done the Goodreads reading challenge. So I actually have tracked my reading year on year for so long, like over a decade. And I can tell that this is my worst year. And I think we've said on pretty much every episode so far this year that I've been in a reading slump. So honestly, you're probably all sick of hearing about it. Well, what about yours, Tor?
I feel like I've actually had a really good reading year. I definitely, like, my goal this year was to actually read less.
Yeah.
Which I'd say I'm probably kind of doing that, but I'm probably not far off what I was reading last year, but I felt much less pressure to read. Like, I've had some really good reading months where I've read loads, like I say loads of books for like this at this point in my reading journey. Good is like 6 or 7 books in a month maybe, whereas like previous years when I really felt the pressure, I'd be doing like 10 to 15 around everything else, which was just too much. But then months where I've only read like 2 books, I haven't felt bad about it. I've just thought, well, it doesn't matter. I enjoyed what I read. Like, I'm reading what I'm reading this month. So I've actually read some like phenomenal books this year. Like, most of the things I've been reading, I've been absolutely loving. There's been a few that have not been great, but I've read some really good stuff this year.
Exciting. Well, we'll get into those books obviously later for you guys. So you come away from this episode with some recommendations. But how many books have you actually read this year so far?
I'm not the best at keeping my Goodreads and Fable up to date, so this is an approximate number, but my Fable's currently telling me it's 37 books so far this year. And I think my goal was like 52, because my goal was like at least 1 book a week.
Yeah, I thought for some reason you'd read more than that. So that does actually make me feel slightly better, because I thought yours was going to be like 55 and then mine is...
No. Let me triple check. But I'm pretty sure when I checked this morning, it said 37. Yeah, 37 finished books. Goodreads would actually tell you it's 38, because at the time, Fable didn't class DNFs as a book read.
Yeah.
Whereas Goodreads does. So I think I've like read 38 books, not full books, but that was my number on Goodreads, I think.
Yes, my number on Goodreads is 22. But one is
still not bad.
One is a DNF, so it's technically, I guess, 21. And my reading goal was the same as yours. It's 52. And again, like you, it's because I wanted to read less this more, which I have exceeded at. If we're talking in terms of goals, I have smashed that goal. I've definitely read far less.
You manifested the shit out of that.
A little bit too good. So yeah, I've read 22, but that makes me 5 or 6 books behind my 52 book target. So I do need to catch up slightly.
Okay, fine. So you're not where you expected to be by this point in the year.
I'm not where I expected to be by this point. I've had some months where I've only read 1 or 2 books, which is very out of the ordinary for me. Like Tor, I used to read like 10 to 16 books a month. And then gradually last year went more down to like 5 to 8. And now it's like, I think the most I've read in 1 month was 6. So it's drastically changed.
Yeah.
Are you where you expected to be at this point in the year?
I feel like I didn't have any expectations for this year. So, yeah, like I'm just feeling good about my reading year. I very much went into this year feeling like I didn't want any pressure around reading. I, I don't, I think we spoke about this at the beginning of the year when we were talking about what we wanted from the year. I didn't want to be requesting as many books. I needed things that I really wanted to read. So I do, less like kind of like pushing out to publishers for stuff unless something kind of like comes to me that I think, oh yeah, I really want to read that. But that arc pressure can be really stressful. And I've just kind of stepped away from it a bit, not from the reading, but just the pressure. Like I said, just like it is what it is. This is a hobby.
Yeah.
It's not my job as much as I would like it to be. I don't,
Yeah.
that's not what my life is like. So it was just adding too much extra pressure. So I feel like, yes, in a way, I kind of am where I expected to be this year because I'm just enjoying what I'm reading and putting no pressure on it.
I think for me, where I struggle with it is even though I know there's no pressure in terms of quantity of books, what I
Mhm.
struggle with is if I don't read much, I don't have much to talk about on content, and
Yeah.
content is a hobby too. So
Hmm.
it's like it kind of relies on how much I read or watch too, but my watching content has never done as well as my reading content. Like
Yeah.
people follow me for books, not TV shows or films. Um, so that's why I struggle with it because I'm like, well, I know, yes, there's no pressure on it, but if I don't, I can't make XYZ. It's really
I
annoying.
I do know what you mean, and we're kind of veering away from books here, but I like everything I see from like real like people that I perceive to be like really good like content coaches is very much that 2026 and beyond is the year of not being so niche down. And I think sometimes algorithms just have to catch up with what you're doing now. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of the stuff that I love of yours is like you did a post recently about like how to manage overthinking and like your analog hobbies outside of like that's the kind of stuff that to me like really sticks out with your content in the last like 6 months. So I do think that although it doesn't do as well, I just think it takes time for like your following and for your new content to actually get to other people that would enjoy that content. Do you know what I mean? But I do absolutely get what you mean because it's what you know and it's very like natural for your content to move towards, well, I read these books and this is what I'm going to post about. And
yeah,
it starts to kind of, your brain has to then start to think about, okay, well, I actually do all these things, but how do I make content around that and make it good, which adds an extra layer of
yeah,
like thought process onto it, doesn't it?
exactly. Like it's just a different process to do content about different things, whereas books we've done for so long. But going back to books a little bit,
Hmm.
what are the formats that you've gravitated towards this year? Are you doing audio? Are you doing Kindle, physical?
Haven't read many physical books. I have read a few. Like Diet Bound at the beginning of the year was one of those. Actually, was it? No, I did that on Kindle. I have not read much physical at all. A few. Definitely Kindle and audio. And I would say I'm actually leaning more towards Kindle recently than you know what, I'm like, I always have an audiobook on the go because I'm in the car so much with the kids. Like, I can't get through my walks and my cleaning without an audiobook. But I feel like last year, I think and I'm plucking this number out of thin air, but I want to say like over 50%. I want to say more towards like 60, 70% last year was probably audiobooks because I was just like smashing through them. I was working out a lot more. So I just constantly, I was going out for at least an hour walk every single day. I was going out for evening walks. So always had something on the go in my ears. Whereas this year, I think it's probably more of a 50-50 split with how I'm consuming them.
Like we've switched this year. Obviously, as you know, I've always been a Kindle girly. And
Hmm.
I
You
really
struggle
struggle.
with audio, don't you?
I struggle with audio, yeah, and I also struggle with physical in the sense that most of my reading time up to this year has been in bed, like at night time.
Hmm.
So I would struggle with the physical of like I would want my lamps quite dark, but then you can't read very well. So
Hmm.
I would just automatically go to Kindle. But this year, one of my biggest goals, which we talked about in the goals episode, actually. So if you want to go listen to that, you can. One of my goals was to get outside more and like increase my walks and general exercise, which I have been doing. And I do a lunchtime walk every single day. or do it after work if I can't do it at
Yeah.
lunch. And so that has increased my audio.
Yeah.
And I have really been finding some good books on audio this year that are like just enough to keep me engaged and enough to keep me reading through this slump. So
Yeah.
definitely done like probably like 70% audio and then 30% Kindle.
Interesting. Because you have some pretty like key criteria for your audiobook narrators, don't you? Why don't you tell us about those?
Guys, if you were under any question of whether I was autistic, this is going to show you that I am. The narration, unfortunately, does have to be British.
British.
Sorry to my Americans, love you all. No tea, no shade against your accent. It's just that British accents are traditionally like what I was used to when I was a child, with those like audiobook tapes that my dad would put on in the car, or
Yeah.
like how you were told stories read out loud from your parents. Like it just gives me that kind of proper fairy tale vibe. So I mostly do English accents. I only do American accents if it's a biography and it's someone recording it themselves in their voice,
Hmm.
or if it's like a transatlantic American accent, because it almost sounds British. So
Yeah.
I also can't do certain genres. I can't do high fantasy on audio, could never do dystopian, sci-fi, anything that takes a little bit more brain power. No. I very
Hmm.
much do like contemporary, literary, or biography or thriller on audio. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's extremely different vibes to what I'm reading on
Yeah.
Kindle.
100%. 100%. I just think it's just different. Like even I sometimes it's not an accent thing for me necessarily. It's just whether or not I gel with voice. Like sometimes I'll put an audiobook and I just think, nope, I absolutely cannot listen to this.
Yeah.
So it is a very like personal experience, I think, like with narrators.
Maybe we should do a whole episode on audiobook recommendations, because I feel like between us we could probably do that really well. So if you guys would like to see an audio recommendation episode, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually putting a list together for TikTok the other day to do one on because I'm starting to find like I love du like proper duet narration. So like you've got like obviously your standard and then your dual and then your duets. And I've listened to a couple of really good duet narration, like more like fancy and dystopian books recently. And I just found them so engaging that it made me even more obsessed with the book, I think, than I would have been if I was just reading it because it just added so much to like the like tension and the experience of consuming it. So I think we could definitely put an episode together on that for sure.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about like reading goals, like how many books read and how we're tracking against them. But were there any other goals that you had for this year?
Yeah, I actually wrote them down because again, when we did this manifestation overall goals episode, we went through our reading goals in it. And so I yesterday I went back through that episode and I was like, what were my goals
I
again?
can't remember if I had any other ones.
Mine was diverse reading, which is
Hmm.
a goal I have every year, not just in terms of ethnicity, but also like gender, sexuality. And I'm doing pretty well actually on that this year. What I've read so far has been so varied, like
Yeah, it has been.
yeah, in every different aspect. So I'm actually doing really well with that. My other reading goal was to read more indie authors, and I am not doing well on that at all.
Okay.
Everything I've read has
And you
been
read an indie book recently as well, didn't you? That you then actually didn't even like.
yeah, I hated it. It was we're going to talk about that in a bit, but it was my least favorite book of this year. So
The
um
problem with indie authors as well now, like there, I've had a book on my radar for so long that I've wanted to, I say so long, a few months that I wanted to read. I can't remember what it's called now. It's like a white cover, red writing. And I was like, I need to read this. I'm going to get to it really soon. And then it's got picked up by a child publisher. And I'm like, well, now it's not indie anymore.
this is exactly the issue I've been having, because actually quite a few of the books I have read were indie, but
Hmm.
now they're not. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing for the community and the authors,
Yeah.
not such a good thing for my reading goals. What about you? You said you couldn't really remember if you had any.
I don't remember having any other ones. I just think for me, it was all about like I said
balance.
earlier, it was all about taking the pressure off and just like getting back to enjoying reading and remembering that I have a whole huge, massive, very busy life outside of reading, and I don't need to put that pressure on it because it sucks the joy
Yeah,
out of it for me in a lot of situations. And I think I'm doing really well against that this year. I think it's
yeah.
making me enjoy reading again so much more, which is why I'm just having a good time with everything I'm reading.
Well, that's good then. Slay. Is there a genre at all you wanted to read this year more and you haven't got to yet? Or like, have you read more of one genre or, anything like that?
So, yes, I actually told myself. So, I grew up reading things like Ender's Game and like grew up watching sci-fi. Like my dad was a big like Star Trek fan. And like some of my favorite books of all time, the Tracy Hardin like Ancient Future series, it's very much like starts out as fantasy, but almost moves into like as kind of like a sci-fi type element to it. And I always really enjoyed it. And I told myself this year that I was going to go back and read at least one more sci-fi genre this year. I haven't done it yet. We did try and convince the Twisted Sisters to write a sci-fi though, so maybe that will be the time that I actually read one again. And they did say it wasn't out of the question in case you missed that episode. But yeah, so in answer to your question, I do want to go back and at least read something sci-fi this year, and I will make it happen. I have one book that's been sat on my shelf for like over 10 years. My stepmom bought it for me. She's a big sci-fi fan, as is my dad. And it's called Decipher, I think, by Stell Pavlo or Pavlo. And she bought it for me because she was like, this book is absolutely mind-blowing and I think you'll love it. And I've just never got round to reading it. So I will make it happen.
Yeah, I feel like
And
you
what's that
have.
other one? The fifth season?
Yes, N.K. Jemisin.
I really want to read that as well. So, one of those books, you've heard it here first, guys. I will read at least one by the end of the year. Like, you guys are going to hold me accountable.
I have been laughing the whole way through this because mine was exactly the same. Mine was high fantasy and sci-fi slash
Hmm.
dystopian. I was going to read more of it this year. And what did I do? I picked up Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I read 20%. I thought, hold on a minute. This is taking a little bit too much brain power. And I put it down and I never came back to it.
I did exactly the same thing, but only read 10 pages.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just, I actually think this is part of where my slump has come in as well, is that I have not found any fantasy or romantasy that I have loved in
Hmm.
ages. And that's why I'm kind of like slumpy. So yeah, my goal was to read more high fantasy this year. I'm failing miserably, but there's still like 6 months to go. So you never know.
Yeah, we still got time.
Yeah.
We'll turn it around for you, we promise.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay, so I mean, I feel like I know what you're going to say to this. One word to describe your reading years so far.
Shall we say it at the same time?
What I think yours will be.
Yeah, because I feel like it's right. Three, two, one.
Slumpy. I was about to shout down the phone, failure.
Savage. No, Slumpy is mine for sure. What about you?
Relaxed.
Yeah, that's a cute one.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
has been.
it has. It's nice. Oh, we love that for you. Okay, what the readers are actually here for. Let's talk about the books we have loved this year. And there's definitely been on your side some really good like romantasy fantasy. Mine
Mm,
probably like a little bit more out of our typical genres, but
yeah,
give variety. Why don't you go through your top three reads of the year so far?
yeah. One of them I literally just finished, but we'll go through the year. So in January, February, I was lucky enough to receive one of the few arcs that went out of Starside. It was read it in February. It fucking blew me away. From the moment I picked it up, I think we spoke about it on another podcast episode, and I said to you, don't ask me about this book because I won't shut up. It was so good. It's not a romantasy. I would say it's a romantic fantasy.
Yeah.
It's very much like about the plot, and they're on this huge like quest trial type thing the whole way through the book, but the kind of enemies to lovers tension is like palpable the whole way through. But it was unputdownable. So, so good. So Starside, Alex Astar, number one. So good. Then in June, I say it's hard to pick my top three. These are my three standouts, but I've actually read some really good books this year. But in June, I read Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter. And again, like this one, I would say Starside really surprised me because it was so fantasy and there was so much like high fantasy elements and the world was super visual and I loved it. Bloodbound was a bit more like there's nothing like specifically new or original about it. It's kind of like a typical-ish romantasy, but it was just really well done. It reminded me of books like Fourth Wing or Akatar in the sense that it was, as soon as you started reading it, I was like, visually, I could see like where I was, the surroundings in my head immediately. And as I was reading it, it was like I was watching a movie instead of reading a book. And I really enjoyed that about it. I love books with like animal companions, and it had a lot of that in here.
Oh my God, sold.
So good. One of them's a cat, just FYI.
You told me this as the first thing you said about the book when you mentioned it like a month or two ago. I would have read it there and then.
And it reminded me a little bit, although it's new adult, it reminded me a little bit of Twin Crowns, which is the series we obviously both love, because it was very much my favorite thing about this book overall. It has all the great fantasy elements, great romances, great tension, mythical creatures. It's exciting. The pacing is done really well. But my favorite thing about this book is actually that the basis of the book is about the female friendship and bond that grows through this, which, as we've spoken about many times, usually gets me more than a romance. Like if you're building a really good friendship, I'm obsessed, so love it. I'm sat. And that this did that like really, really well. It made me really emotional. I have like there were bits I was like, God, this could be me and my best friend, which I think it shows not necessarily good writing, but it shows like good awareness of like what people like want to get in their feels about. Do you know what I mean? So that was fantastic. Ending was absolutely wild. Can't wait for the next one. I'm yapping, sorry guys. And then final book, I literally just finished it yesterday, is Daggermouth by H.M. Wolf.
We're gonna
If
make her
you
a dystopian fan, guys.
like honestly, if that was like one thing that you were going to tell me was going to happen at the beginning of this year, that one of my 6-star reads of the year was a dystopian, I'd be like, shut up, like absolutely no way. And I wasn't that fussed about reading it when all the hype was going on. I was like, oh, I don't think so. Then I saw more and I was like, this is actually really intriguing me. And then I got the opportunity to do the book break read along with like a group of people. We read like set chapters every day. And honestly, the willpower it took for me to put it down at the right chapter every day, like, was so hard. But I loved it. Like it was a bit difficult in the beginning. Like the first 20% is very much like setting up for like the world, what's going on, the politics, the people, and there's a lot of characters in it. But it's so addictive. And there were some really like powerful moments at the end of the book. I cried 3 times from like chapter 28 onwards, which has got to be in like the last 15-ish% of the book. And again, it wasn't even the romance that got me about this. It was about like kind of like these other more like platonic relationships that are like created during the book. And these like really like powerful like feminist moments as well at the end that just had me like absolutely sobbing. It was just 6 stars. All three of these books, 6 stars. They'll be in my top 5 fantasy reads of the year without doubt.
Love. I need to read them, like especially Daggermouth. I did actually start it, as you know, but for the listeners at home, I did start it, but I was struggling to get into it. But now I know that Tora said that about the first 20%. I'll try again and persist.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I will. My top three of this year has been, so in January, I read If It Makes You Happy by Julie Oliver, which is a cozy romance set in the 90s about a girl whose mum passes away and her mum leaves her this B&B that she has to go and like run instead of her essentially after she passes. And when she moves into this B&B, her next door neighbor is a single dad with two little girls. And it is inspired by Gilmore Girls, but obviously instead of it being like a single mom with a single daughter, he is the parent with the children, and she's the character that has more like the Luke Danes personality. So she's a bit more grumpy, and he's like a golden retriever.
Why have
Oh,
I not read this?
I
Single
know.
dad,
I
90s. Like, what am I doing?
I told you this, and it's
Saving
so
it for autumn.
it is set in autumn, and it's a perfect autumn romance. I obviously read it in January, so I still had those like wintry vibes.
Mhm.
But it's just got all the things we love in it, like humor, emotion, obviously romance, a bit of spice. And it's very, I would say it's ideal for fans of Abby Jimenez because the writing style really reminded me of her books, and the fact that like the love interest is like definitely like a green flag.
Yeah.
It's like not toxic in any way. And it was just so cute and so wholesome and very emotional that I gave it 5 stars. And it was the only romance I've given.
Unheard of for you.
Yeah, only romance I've given 5 star this year. My second favorite throughout the year, which I think I either read in April or May, was Yesteryear by Claire Caro Burke, I think is her name. And obviously, you kind of have to be living under a rock not to have seen this everywhere.
Gotcha.
So it's being made into a film as well with Anne Hathaway in it. And it's just like absolutely everywhere. But if you're going to read this, I 10 out of 10 recommend the audio because the
Yeah.
audio was so good and so addictive. And basically, this is like a satirical look at the tradwife movement on social media. So if you have any interest in social media trends, politics, or anything that kind of surrounds that cultural aspect, you're going to love it. It's
Yeah.
very witty, but it's also very dark. And because the character is purposely unlikable, you feel very conflicted about the things that both happen to her and the things that she does all the way through it.
I
It also,
really want to read it so
yeah,
bad.
yeah, I think you'd really enjoy it. It has great commentary and exploration of motherhood as a whole. And then it also has themes of like mental health and mental illness. It's just so, it's like so simple but so effective. And there
Yeah.
is a little bit of a twist at the end as well, which really adds to the experience. So that was an easy 5 star, completely like have not stopped thinking about it since too. And then my third book is not a 5 star, but a 4.75. And that is Into the Blue by Emma Brody.
Hmm.
Again, another book that is everywhere. We did this
Yeah.
in book club. If you like Emily Henry, Happy Place, or you like any Ali Hazelwood a little bit, this is for you. It is a second chance romance about two teens that meet and do this like acting summer kind of project together. And then it goes through years and years and years of their friendship and relationship. So also very good if you like normal people because it follows that same structure, but like not as depressing and melancholic as normal people.
Hmm.
Actually, no, it is as
I was
depressing.
about to say, I've seen some pictures of you sobbing at this book.
Guys, I absolutely sobbed at this book. It is sad, but I think I had a particular connection to it, which I can't say because it would spoil
Fine.
the reveal. But so I think I found it sadder than maybe some people.
Fine. But that means that other people will probably find the right people will find that connection in it.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to see Bronte's face at certain points of reading this, go check out our recent May wrap-up post because there is a photo of her sobbing face
I
to
had
be
like
seen with the book.
wet tears like all the way down my face for just so long. My nose was so red from crying. It was just so sad, but so good. And it's hard because you can't say much about this book without giving it away. So you just kind of have to take my word for it.
I feel like it's one of those books that I will read at some point. I'm not like chomping at the bit to read it. Like Yesteryear, I'm like chomping at the bit to read it. I think books like that, if you're in the social media space, it's always so interesting to see it written about because people like to believe this whole like glitz and glam like lifestyle of having any type of content career, whether it's more a hobby or you do it as a part of full-time job, that people have this perception of it and actually like the nitty-gritty of like what goes on and people's actual thoughts around it. We spoke about this when I read that Julie Chan is Dead book last year. Like it's so interesting, even though you know these things, but to read it on the read on the page about social media is like you do think, oh, it's pretty toxic sometimes. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I'm really interested on reading that one.
Yeah, it's just very political and timely as well, because obviously it's about trad wife movement links to conservatism and like
Hmm.
fundamentalist religion or nationalist religion, which ties into a right-wing conservative government, which many countries around the world are currently seeing. So it's just very timely and thought-provoking in that aspect as well, without being too like
Preachy.
not necessarily preachy, but too hard to digest,
Hmm.
you know? So
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
fair. So we've covered all of the books that we loved so far. What about the books that you haven't loved that much so far this year?
Well, one of them you mentioned a little bit, which was Where the Roses Bloom. I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about this too much because it was an indie book and I think she was like a debut author. Like that,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the first thing she published. But it was just like a paranormal gothic romance. It was like 280 pages.
Mhm.
It was just quite cheesy and predictable. It felt a little bit like Wattpad. There's definitely people that will like it, but
Yeah.
it wasn't my style.
Mhm.
I wanted something. When I want gothic, I want something that's real dark and kind
Yeah.
of haunting. And then the second one that I didn't end up loving, which is a big surprise, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the
Oh
Hunger Games
yeah.
prequel. I love the Hunger Games. Catching Fire is one of my favorite films ever. I love dystopian, as we all know, so I thought I was going to love this. I did not like it. I thought it was so boring. I thought the film adaptation was actually better. And it just, the character development of Snow, it just didn't make sense to me. He was just like 0 to 100.
Hmm.
And the pacing in the middle of the book was just so slow. So yeah, I did not love that. What about
Oh, I know that that was a bit of a rough blow for you.
that? Put me back in the slump. Like literally, that put me back in the slump I had just got out of.
Oh God, yeah, fair. Well, moving on from that red flag. Mine were actually, so I've got my list next to me. Not that I dislike them, but things that people had kind of hyped up to me that they thought I would love that then just ended up being a bit of a letdown. Not all of them, but the first one was Heavenly Bodies. People were saying to me for ages, I think probably because of my obsession with like the zodiac and astrology in general. I think people thought I was going to like link quite well into this. I just wasn't that fussed about it. I wasn't too fussed on the characters. I wasn't so it was an okay time. I don't even remember what I rated it. I probably rated it up because I feel bad giving authors bad reviews, but it realistically now coming come away from it for a little while, definitely just like a standard like 3 star for me, I think. I just wasn't that invested in it, and it was a bit, to use a word that you like to use, meandering. The plot and the romance was meandering quite a lot. Like it wasn't doing it for me. Um Same with Wrath of the Dragons, which was a real disappointment because I loved Fear the Flames. Again, it wasn't bad. I just felt it was a bit fillery. It was like a typical second book in a trilogy kind of vibe to it. We'll definitely still be picking up the next book, and I really, because the ending was not what I was expecting from this. It's not where I thought the plot was going at all. Kind of what I thought was going to be the end of the series has kind of ended up being the end of book 2 with then this like crazy thing that happened. So I've got really high expectations for the next book now, but book 2 let me down a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other one that I would say is I read a series this year called The Compelling Fate Saga, and I really loved books 1 and 2, like 4.5 to 5 stars. Very kind of like adult Throne of Glass, Lady of Darkness vibes. And I think I told you when I was reading it, like couldn't put book 1 and 2 down. I devoured the first 3 books in like, I don't know, maybe less than 2 weeks. But kind of towards the end of the third book, I thought it kind of lost itself a little bit. And then book 4, although it took me months to finish the series, because when I got to book 4, I just put it down halfway through because I just felt it wasn't kind of getting to the point. It should have been a trilogy, but instead it kind of
Mhm.
evolved itself out. It's a terrible way of putting it, but it didn't need to last that long. So I enjoyed the series, and I would definitely recommend for some people to read it, but it just
Yeah.
let me down a little bit at the end of the series, which was a shame.
Yeah, that is a shame. I hate it when that happens. Was there a 2026 specific book release that you were hyped for and then it didn't deliver?
No, I feel like a lot of my like 2026 releases that I've been looking forward to because there may be sequels, I haven't read yet. Like The Ballad of Fallen Dragons, I haven't read that yet. I need to, but I need to do not a reread, but I need to read through the thing that someone sent me to refresh my When the Moon Hatched energy. And Light Wielder was another really like highly anticipated release, which I plan on doing this year. So nothing that I was really hyped for release wise this year has let me down as of yet, but doesn't mean it won't happen. What
Yeah.
about for you? Have you read any of your anticipated releases? Oh no, what was it?
Fury Bound.
Oh God, yes. Oh yeah.
I hated Fury Bound. Do you know what? I've done
Every
that.
time you talk about it, you get more and more savage about it.
Yeah, I started off being like, it was like disappointing, but it was good. And then I was like, no, it wasn't good. And now I'm like, I hate it. I actually hate it. Um, it was again, I think second book syndrome. Like we talk about this a lot. It started off well, but the biggest issue I had with it was that Merrin was the most annoying, irritating FMC that I've encountered in a long time. So bratty, so immature. And then also like the
Are we
relationship
talking like what's the book that we were talking about the other day? The Greek mythology.
darkness.
Yeah, like that.
Maybe
No.
not maybe not quite as bad as Persephone, but not
Okay.
far off for me.
Oh
Like
no.
people always talk about, I don't know, like Violet being annoying in Fourth Wing, or like
I don't find her annoying at all,
I was
personally.
about to say, I don't find her annoying. Like, this is way, way, way worse. Like,
Oh
she
no.
was horrendous. I just wanted to hit her all the time. Um, and then
So aggressive.
the romance just didn't develop at all in the way I thought it would or the way I wanted it to. It was just like so repetitive. Pacing was really slow between about 40% and 70%. And it's a big book. So, yeah, really, really disappointed. I think I've settled on like a 2.75 or 3 star.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
I mean, it puts me off reading it. This is the first time Carl's ever overtaken me in a series because he finished Direbound like a week or two ago, and obviously Fury Bound was already out, so he's gone straight in to read Fury Bound, and I haven't read it yet. So I'm intrigued to see what he thinks about it.
Like other people in our friendship group have liked it, so
Yeah,
it may just be me living up to my
you
hater.
are such a hater, so
Yeah.
I'm definitely turning more hater in 2026 though.
I was actually going to say in the romantasy episode, you were a bigger hater than me, so
Yeah,
maybe actually, since this is a romantasy book, you might not like it.
yeah, we'll see.
Any DNFs this year, or any books that you just couldn't get through?
Yes, and it's one that is really beloved book talk hype again. I just don't like the book talk hype ones. The Night Prince.
Yeah.
Can't remember her name. Is it Laura, someone or other? I really liked the first book, The Wolf King, if that's what it was called. I think it was really good, like enjoyable, fast paced, like very like cheesy, romancy kind of vibe. But for whatever reason, when I was just reading The Night Prince, it lost some of its pizzazz somewhere along the lines, and I just felt it was all about like the couple and this kind of like will they won't they kind of situation, completely lost its plot. and I've said this on so many podcast episodes, but for me, this year, especially for whatever reason, if I'm reading a romancy or a romantic fantasy, whatever if there's no plot, if the plot is completely getting lost in the romance, I don't like it. Even though I read loads of contemporary romance that has no plot other than the romance, I just find that with a fantasy one, I need more to it than it to just be about their romance. So I
Yeah.
DNF'd.
It's interesting as well because I've seen a lot of people say that they like the second one more.
I know. It's because of the guy. So there's like a will they, won't they, like love triangle type situation starting to happen. And I think people love that. But just for me, it would have been 10 times better if there was also a strong plot running with it. Because the romance wasn't bad. It was just that for me, I was bored because there was nothing else going on in the background outside of, and I just think in fantasy it needs a plot for my personal preference anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to read them, so I'll let you know what I think because I feel like we probably have similar thoughts on that. Actually,
Hmm.
quite a plot forward person too. Um, was
Yours?
oh mine, yes, duh.
Yeah. You
So
must have
yeah,
DNF something this
I
year.
have DNF something, and it was something I was really sad about. It was Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport.
Oh,
So
yes.
N.E. Davenport, if you don't know, also has The Blood Trials,
Which you
which is,
loved.
which is dystopian, and I loved. So I was really excited about this, and also just from like a kind of personal perspective of the author, she had just lost her husband,
Hmm.
and I really wanted to like support her, and I really wanted this book to do well. But unfortunately, I just didn't love it. But it's not that the book is bad at all. It's just that it has that very high spice and romance to plot and fantasy ratio.
Hmm.
There was
Yeah.
so much spiced already from the beginning. Like I could tell that that was going to be a huge focus.
Hmm.
And I just wasn't in the mood for that. I'm rarely in the mood for something that is like more spice and romance than plot.
Yeah.
The same exact same thing as you had essentially. If I ever am in the mood for that kind of a genre again, then I will go back to it and give it another chance.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it wasn't bad. Like her writing wasn't bad. The female main character was intriguing, but at that time, I just wasn't. I wasn't in the mood for it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a shame.
it is.
That's on my shelf. I do plan on reading it because sometimes I am just in the mood for a bit of smut.
Yeah,
So, what is on your TBR? I mean, obviously, our TBRs, guys, are so wishy-washy. We're both huge mood readers, and Bronte's been a huge failure in 2026 at reading so far. So, anything she says, she probably won't do.
not true. Not true because we've got some amazing releases coming.
What is on your TBR for 2020 for the second half of the year?
So my general TBR, firstly, Under the Iron Sky by A.T. Emerald. If you don't know, guys, this is the rewrite of the Hermione fan fiction Secrets and Masks.
Hmm.
I 100% will be reading that because Secrets and Masks and Hermione is like my life.
And
And
we both have that. Maybe we should buddy read that and vlog the experience.
yeah, we could do it. The second one is Ballad of Fallen Dragons,
Hmm.
which again, I've started a reread of book one, When the
When the
Moon
moon
Hatched.
hatched.
Yeah. So I will get through that and go on to it. Light Wielder, because again, loved Metal Slinger last year.
Hmm.
Daggermouth and Starside, influenced by Tor herself. So I will do those at some point. And then I really, really want to do some more of the dystopian classics that I've never done. So like 1984 and things like that. I've obviously read a lot of like the YA dystopian or like fantasy dystopian and modern dystopian, but there's so many classics I've not got to.
Okay.
And then trying to sneak in some high fantasy if the mood takes me at any point. What
We're
about
going to clip this and we're going to come back to it at the end of the year. I'm actually going to clip these exact moments and replay
no?
them for you for an end of year wrap up and see if you've done
No,
any of them.
no, I rebuke it. What's on
I
yours?
never said that. She used AI.
Literally. What
Um,
about you?
For me, I'm just trying to think, like, when there's so many books you want to read, and this is such an ADHD thing, but I know all the time what I want to do, and then someone asks me the question, I'm like, what do I want to read? Light Wielder is very high on the priority list.
So
I'm
Ballad of
really
Four Dragons.
I do you know what? Like I do want to read it, but I'm not chomping at the bit to read it. So I'm very much just like I will pick it up when the mood strikes me to read it. I feel like Sarah A. Parker, I love her writing, I love her books, but she's very much an author that I have to have brain space to read and listen to her books because there's so much going on and it definitely has that like more it is a romantic fantasy. It's not a romantasy. It's like high fantasy stuff going on, and you have to be able to concentrate on the book. So that for me, especially with summer holidays coming up, I know that from now until like September, I'm going to be reading stuff that I find it's either like easy to consume fantasy and more romance. I've been big back into my cowboy romance era this year, so I reckon I'll read more of that
Yeah.
back into romantic suspense as well. For those who are Catherine Cowles fans, read Victoria Wilder. I'm reading her Bourbon Brothers series at the moment, and it's fantastic. So that's definitely going to get finished. And speaking of Catherine Cowles, I'm really intrigued in her new series, that Across the Vanishing Sky. And there's the other one that's just about to release.
Yeah, I've literally got it and I can't remember the title. I'll Google.
So yeah, I think those will kind of be like the big things for me over the next like few months because with kids coming in and out of the house, they don't have the same amount of just like dedicated time to sit down and read in the same brain space when they're not at school and I'm like, got 101 things going on every single day. Um, but there are some other things come like so I read a book this year, as you know, called Half City, a really fun, like Buffy kind of like urban fantasy type vibes. And the sequel is actually coming out this year. So both books coming out this year. I think that's the kind of book I'll definitely pick up straight away this year. That's just like some of the like highlights thing off the top of my head that I think that I'll definitely be reading into the second half of this year. But I've got a lot of good fantasy, well, I hope good fantasy books on my radar. Again, like Under the Iron Sky sounds really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
The second book in the Across the Vanishing Sky Catherine Cowles series is Into the Fading Twilight, by the way, guys. And that comes out soon. So yeah, that'll probably be on both of our TBRs actually as well, because I have those and I do like a bit of romantic suspense too. But any anticipated releases that you're counting down to this year?
Like I said, I'm really excited for Curse City to come out. That Half City, I've really enjoyed it, and the ending was quite interesting. I'm trying to think if there's anything else huge that we're still waiting on. The one thing is that the not Light Luck, Lightwing, which is the sequel to Hollow, the Twisted Sisters new series, they've just pushed back the release of that. Because I didn't know this, that Caroline is getting married this summer. So they've
Oh,
pushed back the release of, is it Lightwing? I'm sure it's Lightwing. Um, and I'm really excited to read that. So that's another one I'm counting down the release to as well. What about you?
for me, it's The Knave and the Moon, which is the sequel to The Night and the Moth. I am so ridiculously excited about that. I feel like that is going to cure me of this reading slump.
Hmm.
If my jelly cat Bartholomew will be reading that together in honor of the real Bartholomew.
We should have put like a we should have put like a plea out to Orbit Books to send you a proof. I've been seeing people
Yeah.
reading it and really enjoying it so far.
I knew I was not ever going to get a proof of that because everyone and their dog wants that one.
Yeah.
Daybreak by
Oh yeah.
Thornton Wood.
See, I just never remember.
Yeah, sequel to
Nightshade.
Shade. Thank you. My
Fine,
brain
thanks.
went. I am frothing at the mouth for this. Guys, I asked for a proof. I didn't get it. So sad times for me. That would have also cured my reading slump, I think. The story could be bad at this point, which I don't think it will be because the reviews have been good. But I would just be happy to be back in the presence of Alex Corbo Green, like the greatest MMC of last year. And then I'm so ridiculously beyond excited for my icon. John Green has announced a new book called Hollywood Ending, and it is his first adult contemporary fiction. I think it's even romance.
Who is this man? I have no clue who you're talking about.
This is the author of The Fault in Our Stars. This is
Oh,
the
I never read it.
of Looking for Alaska. This is the author of many a great book, basically shaped my entire teenage years.
Wow.
Like literally was my favorite. Looking for Alaska was my favorite book until I read Normal People.
Oh my
I
God.
have my old battered copy in there still, and I refuse to ever get rid of it. Like he's who makes me want to be an author. So I am beyond excited for that.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
No, some good releases this year.
I feel like we'll probably have to do an episode at some point about like I'm gonna have to think through it because I know that there is so much I want to read in the second half of this year. I need to think through that more, and we'll probably have to do like a mini episode on it because actually there's so much good stuff I know that I want to read in the second half of this year, and also some really exciting releases already for 2027 that I'm seeing that I'm can't wait. That coming to you soon, guys. But thank you so much for listening. We've had such a good time going through our wrap up. Hope you guys have taken some good recommendations from this. Hopefully, you don't take our harsh, savage, hatred filled words too seriously or some things make us sound so evil. Um, but yeah, it's been a good episode. I've loved this.
Me too. I love doing these wrap up ones. If you have any other episodes you'd like to see from us, feel free to drop them in the comments. As always, we love to hear your ideas of what you want to see from us. But yeah, otherwise, I guess we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for another episode.
Bye.